thousands of Americans, y'all, stranded abroad in places like Dubai. Come on, sip a little tea with Auntie. Let's talk about it. Can you imagine being a United States citizen, traveling abroad to Dubai or whatever country you was visiting, and while you there, pre-planned, y'all, because a lot of these Americans say they planned their trip out a whole year ago, saved up their money, planned everything they was going to do, when they was going to get there, when they was going to leave, and everything else, y'all. Upon them getting there and getting ready to return back to the States, a war breaks out. So now they stranded in Dubai. Can you imagine? In the States, we're not accustomed to hearing alarm sound when some strikes or something is in the vicinity. So they fear for that. Not to mention, some of these hotels is not going to care what your situation is. They're not going to say, well, you can stay here for free and we're going to feed you. A lot of them are having to come up with the money, to stay at these hotels, not to mention to feed themselves while they're there for the extended stay. Imagine somebody just having enough money to enjoy a small amount of time while they was there, planned on being there for a week's time and going back home, didn't plan for the extra, and right now still up in the air as to when this is going to be over or die down enough for them the people to get back on the plane to get back to the States, y'all. Very crazy situation, baby. I could not imagine. If I didn't bring enough money, baby, I'd be on that phone calling every relative, every friend I have. Hey, send me $100. Send me $200. Can you imagine a hotel putting some people outside and they got to go outside and be dodging strikes in a foreign country where they don't know where they at? That's some scary stuff, y'all. I just be sitting back thinking about it and watching some of these people TikToks. A lot of them are calm, y'all, because I know they probably, had extra money and was able to reach out to get themselves some extra money. But baby, my nerves will be so bad up in there that I'll be smoking up every tree on the island. My goodness. That's something though. For real. Imagine that. Being a United States citizen and stuck in a foreign country while all of this is going on. Prayers going out to all of them that was vacationing. Prayers for our soldiers. Prayers for the whole situation, y'all, because it is sad. Thank y'all for sipping a little more tea with Auntie. Bye, y'all.
Rawlings were supposed to be flying home today. The airport reopened just a few hours ago, but just moments before they were sightseeing in Dubai, taking in the skyline, enjoying the calm. Then missiles were intercepted overhead, and in an instant, getting back home to Chicago, no longer an option.
Everybody's supposed to seek shelter. Everybody is out of the rooms and everything like that. There was a missile, an interception, intercepted a missile in the air, and the debris fell and tore up a couple of cars. And so we saw police out there. You could see the cars damaged, looked like they had been in an accident. Pretty much you have to wait it out until something changes. And that's an emotional roller coaster. 1 minute you're feeling okay, and then the next minute, you're thinking about your children and you're starting to miss home.
Hi everyone, my name is Shekinah Lee. I am 26 years old. I'm from Chicago. I'm currently in Dubai. I'm in a parking shelter. We've received so many emergency alerts. We've seen the missiles with our own 2 eyes. We've heard the explosions. I don't know exactly what's happening, but I know that for people who are staying on the Palm Jumeirah like me, we are currently taking shelter. So I just wanted to give you all this update for people back home that may not know what's going on. Trump, thanks again for nothing. You get out of America and you still are affected by his foolery. It's like overwhelming at this point. However, we're safe right now. It's hot. I mean, it's hot. And so thanks for watching.
What's going on, everybody? This is Afro Think Tank. So it seems there's a lot of African American content creators who are stuck in Dubai. There's a lot of African Americans in general who are stuck in Dubai because of the war. And this is going to sound bad. All right? It's going to sound bad. But I don't even care that they're stuck in Dubai. I don't care at all. I don't feel sorry or bad for them that they stuck in Dubai. A lot of them went there for vacation. They like to go on vacation. But this is why I don't care, or I don't feel sad, or have zero empathy for any black person, any African American at all, stuck in Dubai. As a person who knows what it's like to be bombed, to look up and know that a missile might hit you. From a person who used to also fire massive bullets, all right, And my job was to blow people up, all right, from a distance sometimes, okay? I know all about this, the terror of looking up and not knowing if it's your time, all right? Now, with all that being said, I have no empathy for these people because they're in Dubai, a slave state. You see, they go to Dubai and enjoy the trappings that's created and built and operated by slaves, Southeast Asian and African slaves. You see, when they go to those restaurants and they get served, right, when the waiter who had his passport taken and he lives in a goddamn shack with 30 other mofos and he works for damn near nothing to serve them, right, they don't take that shit in consideration. For the maid, all right, that comes and cleans their hotel rooms, who's also a sex slave who's getting beat by her owner/employee. Yeah, they don't seem to care about none of that because they don't have to worry about seeing it because those Arabs, them fishermen and them goddamn camel herders who ran into oil in Dubai, right, who built their entire country off African and Southeast Asian slave labor, right, they don't seem to care that that's the case. That's almost like Europeans or Asians coming to America during slavery and enjoying a resort ran and operated by African Americans. That's basically what it is. The nonchalantness of content creators and any African American going to Dubai specifically, a place built, operated, and ran by slaves, right? Because they have slave masters, those Arabs, and those white people who continue slavery via Dubai, where all the rich people just show off and take their money and do all kind of devious shit, and all the poor people go there to look at what all the rich people built. You stuck over there now. You see, it was all good when shit was fun, when you was enjoying what the slaves built for you, huh? When you was enjoying the services that them slaves provide you, right? See, since you don't see it, since you got your eyes closed and you got your ears shut, you don't worry about that because you got 5-star service. You get to show everybody you in Dubai when a lot of you Instagram chicks are getting shit on by them Arabs. All right, you're over there prostituting yourselves on an international stage because you know them Arabs like to abuse and abuse women. And of course, one of the best prizes an Arab can get is an African-American woman, a white American woman and an African-American woman. 2 big prizes that them Arabs would love to take a deep number 2 on, right? And y'all over there doing that, selling y'all souls and your dignity for money, right? So I do not care that you guys have to stand there and get bombed on. I'm sorry. As an African-American, I'm sorry that you stuck in that slave state of Dubai. Because you went there. You should have never went there. How would you feel if your grandmama and your great-grandmama and your great-granddaddy was slaves and somebody came to vacation at the big mama's house or the slave master house or whatever, and then your great-great-grandparents had to go and serve them and get treated like shit? Huh? How'd you like it? Do you know what's happening in Dubai? No black person should ever go to Dubai. Off the strength of our history alone, no black person should ever go to Dubai. Dubai is one of the countries you should boycott vehemently, permanently, indefinitely. You should condemn the whole fake-ass country of Dubai. Dubai. I can't stand how absolutely willfully ignorant African Americans are about going to Dubai. But some of y'all want to talk about reparations. Y'all want to talk about what the white man done did to us and shit like that. When you over there participating in an economy built by slaves. You should know this by now. That's the age of information. Ain't no way you cannot know that. And you still getting on that plane going to Dubai. So yes, you sit there in that slave state with all those slave owners who not only enslave Southeast Africans, Southeast Asians and Africans, but they also sponsor terrorism in Africa, keeping our continent down, keeping tribes fighting each other, starting wars and genocides that continue on because them Arabs who live in the desert and ain't got shit need a place they can go to get shit. So now I don't feel sorry for none of y'all. Now, I do hope that, y'all are not getting the bingo card. You don't get to call bingo, when everything line up and one of them goddamn bunker bombs coming knocking on your damn doorstep. I don't want you side guys. I seen somebody get incinerated before. You know what that shit look like? You ever seen somebody get blown up? No, I have. That shit is disgusting, okay? It's called pink mist, all right? And so I hope none of y'all turn into pink mist, right? But learn your lesson. You go over there and you play in that slave house with them slave boys, right? You playing that slave economy with them slavers, then you're gonna have to deal with what they gotta deal with, because now all them rich ass slave owners gotta deal with the bombs dropping on top of their head too. Why? Because they all play in that devious world. They all playing that shit. And you want to play in it too, right? You don't care about the slaves that serve you. You don't care about the slaves that you pretend like you don't see because they got uniforms on and shit. You don't care that they got their passport taken and they can't get home. You don't care that they're getting beaten, raped, and murdered. You don't care as long as you can take your picture next to them fake ass islands in the fucking desert. So now I don't care about none of y'all over there. Nah, it doesn't. Good luck to you. All right, that's how I feel about it. Right? Anyway, that's all I gotta say. You guys tell me what y'all think in the comment sections. Afro Think Tank. Learn something, teach something. I'm out.
The companies building things using slave labor in Dubai were Chinese and Turkish. Back when I was looking to buy an apartment there, they said there's Chinese developers, Turkish developers, and the Emirati developers, right? And the Chinese developers all use the labor available in the country because it's cheap. I did not get the apartment, and I understand the problems with the country more now than I did before. But the idea that once again, people are profiting off of it from other countries means we need to look at these other countries differently. Migrant workforce in the country is being used by the developers in the country, and a lot of those are Chinese labor companies, right? So once again, it was built off modern slavery by Chinese companies. You guys forget the other half of this, that Dubai just says, hey, we're gonna allow slavery here, come here and do business, and then people come there and do business with the slaves. And those are generally entire nations, right? Once again, this is not a critique on the ethics of China. This is simply saying that if you're mad at Dubai for allowing slavery, you need to get mad at people for using the slavery there.
Dubai runs on modern day slavery, and I just don't get the appeal. I don't get why anybody would want to go there, period, point blank. Even outside of the fact that they literally operate on modern day slavery, the rules that they have, they're just waiting for people to lock up. They're just waiting to arrest somebody, probably to make them slaves. Because you always see a story like an American gets locked up for raising their voice in public. An American like, no, I would never want to go there. But nonetheless, Dubai exploits people from, impoverished countries. So countries in Africa, the Philippines, Thailand, people who are living in poverty, Ukraine or whatever. And they give them these empty promises like, you're going to come to Dubai, you're going to make all this money, you're going to be able to take care of your family, send money back, it's going to be great. And the image of Dubai you see is just luxury, it's just beautiful, right? And then those people say that they get over there, and as soon as they get there, their passports are confiscated. There's people who, have to work 12-hour shifts, and they're working a month straight. They're not getting any days off. They're not able to go back and visit their family. They're kind of isolated from, their family, friends, anything. All they can do is work, and they're already in a country where you could literally go to jail for raising your voice. And so they just have to stick it out because they don't want to get arrested. They're scared, right? And it's just like, why would I want to support a country that treats people that way, that exploits people, that lies and deceives people for their own personal gain? What's happening in Dubai, how their airport was attacked, their most popular hotels were attacked. I don't care.
Dubai is a dreamland, right? 7-star hotels, the tallest buildings, golden Lamborghinis. But just a few miles away from all that luxury, there's a world that Dubai doesn't want you to see. You've seen the skyline, the yachts, the influencers sipping $100 lattes. Dubai is sold as a future of human progress. With human progress, tell that to the tens of thousands of workers living in conditions so poor that the global slavery index ranks them amongst the worst in the world. It wasn't always this way. Before oil, Dubai was built on fishing, pearl diving, and trade. Foreign workers were a part of society, not just disposable labor. But then the oil rush came in. A handful of families took control, creating a system that prioritizes profits over people, trapping tens of thousands into a cycle of debt and abuse. It's called the kafala system, and it sounds like a visa program, doesn't it? Well, it's not. It's a modern-day contract trap where workers pay thousands just to get a job. When they arrive, their passports are taken, salary slashed, and living conditions, they're barely livable. And Dubai's leaders claim that they've reformed the system, but reports say otherwise. Enforcement is weak and abuse is still rampant. They want you to see the magnificent Burj Khalifa, not the labor camps an hour away. And here's the crazy part. Dubai's entire economy depends on foreign workers. They make up 90% of the population, yet they have no rights. And history tells us that economies built on mass exploitation usually don't last. Just look at the past empires. When labor revolts or the economy shifts, things collapse fast. Dubai is trying to diversify beyond oil, but can it diversify beyond this system?
Now, let's talk about how Dubai pulls this off today. Meet the kafala system, an immigration and labor framework used across the Gulf region. In theory, it's a sponsorship system. In practice, it's a trap. Here's how it works. A migrant worker from, say, Nepal sees a job ad. Work in Dubai, $600 a month, housing included. Okay. They sign up, sell family jewelry to pay a recruitment fee, and board the plane. That fee alone could be $1,000 to $5,000, a lifetime of savings in US dollars, right? So when they land in Dubai, their employer becomes their legal sponsor, their kafil. That sponsor holds the power to 1. Keep or cancel their visa, 2. Approve or deny job changes, 3. Withhold wages, and 4. Confiscate their passport, which is illegal, but still rampant. Now, imagine being trapped in a desert, sleeping 10 to a room, working 12-hour shifts in 110-degree heat. No union, no recourse, no escape. Speak out, you disappear. In 2014, Human Rights Watch exposed just how bad it was during the construction of the glittering Saadiyat Island projects. Workers were promised salaries that never came, had their passports seized, and were crammed into filthy camps with open sewage. In 2022, Amnesty International found that despite reforms, these abuses still existed. One report said workers had to pay bribes just to get the wages that they were already owed. Look, they'll build a climate-controlled indoor city but can't provide air conditioning for the men who built it. And yet influencers are still out here filming thirst traps next to fountains built on actual sweat and suffering. Here's the thing. You don't need chains when you've got debt bondage, visa blackmail, and global indifference. Dubai did not invent this. It just refined it.
The United Arab Emirates is increasingly upsetting countries in East Africa. Let's talk about it. Djibouti's president recently accused the UAE of fueling instability in the region through aggressive port deals and political interference. And this isn't an isolated complaint. Sudan recently took the UAE to the International Court of Justice on genocide allegations, accusing them of supporting the RSF. The case was thrown out, but not because the claims were not serious, but simply because the UAE had opted out of the Genocide Convention. Thus, the ICJ had no jurisdiction. Then there's Somalia. In 2018, Somali authorities seized millions of dollars from a UAE plane, claiming it was undeclared cash. The UAE still had plans in Somalia, so they decided to bypass Somalia's federal government and make deals directly with Somaliland, a breakaway region. Somalia saw it as a direct violation of its sovereignty. So, while the UAE builds ports, expands influence, and boosts its global image, Sudan is at war with a genocide taking place, Somalia is fractured, and Djibouti is raising alarms. So, let's talk. Are we watching the UAE become a rising world power, or is it a destabilizing force?
Right, but this is how more than 400 tons of smuggled gold enters the UAE every year from Africa, worth around $30 billion. And here's the thing. Once that smuggled gold is melted, refined, and sold on the market in Dubai, it becomes 100% legal. As a new gold rush is taking over the world, driving up the price of gold to historic levels, the UAE has strategically turned itself into a global hub for gold and gold laundering, and has done this partly through financing civil war in Africa, and in particular Sudan, where a brutal all-out war has waged for more than a year between the country's military and a rogue mercenary army that's figured out how to exchange gold for weapons. Now, the UAE's role in Africa is complicated. It's a weave of land purchases, regional influence, and access to the vital trade routes along the Red Sea. But the unfettered flow of gold has become the grease that oils its relationship with Sudan and its neighbors. A flow that continues unabated by war or political turmoil. So, how is this happening? And how is it fueling the war in Sudan? My name is Muhammad Hassan, and this is The Big Picture.
Why I have a problem with Dubai, and frankly, why you should too. For the past 10 years, Dubai's economy has skyrocketed due to gold smuggling from Africa.
Wow. It is not wild. Do your findings.
Let me go ahead and help you with those findings. So I already made a video on this, but I feel like there's no stopping until people understand how insane what Dubai has been doing over the past 10-20 years is. I don't know if you've ever sat down to just think about how Dubai has completely changed its economic state in the past 10-20 years. You asked anyone 10-20 years ago if they have ever been to Dubai, they'd literally ask you, for what? Because there was nothing to go to. Because this is what Dubai looked like in the 1990s and early 2000s. And if you ask me, that looks nothing like the city of gold we know and love today. How did Dubai's economy grow so fast, you might ask yourself? Here's where my frustration comes in. A major part of Dubai's economy comes from the amount of gold that it has. But the funny thing is, the UAE does not have any gold reserve. We're talking desert. There is no gold inside their soil. So what did they do? They stole their gold from places like Mali, Burkina Faso, Ghana, etc., etc., etc. So is this really the city of gold or the city of lies? No, but seriously, per the CNBC, over $35 billion worth of gold, that's how much we know so far, is being smuggled out of Africa every single year. So if we were to do a little math, let me grab my calculator real quick. That's 35 billion times 20. Oh. 7 times 10 to the 11. So just to put that in regular numbers, $700 trillion worth. And that's just what we know. So imagine other Western world countries, other developed nations are taking gold from the same list of countries and maybe even more than what Dubai already has. So that, my friends, is why I will not stop talking about Dubai and why I will not stop exposing some of these nations for the things that they do and try to cover up.
Why is the United Arab Emirates backing a genocidal militia? Satellite images and UN reports show the UAE is arming a paramilitary group, which is trying to take over Sudan by force. The country's civil war has displaced 12 million people and left 25 million facing acute hunger. The UAE rejects these accusations, but evidence of its role backing the rapid support forces is overwhelming. So why is it involved? One argument is that the UAE wants Sudan's gold. There are multiple gold mines in Sudan, including here, here, and here. And gold is important to the Emirates. The country has become a gold refining hub, and gold is now its most valuable non-hydrocarbon export. But here's the thing, the UAE already imports almost all of Sudan's gold. What's more, the Emirates has a $500 billion economy, so importing slightly more gold doesn't make much of a difference. Another argument is agriculture. Sudan has more land that could be used for farming than any other African country. That interests the UAE, which is highly dependent on imports. As a desert country, 90% of its food comes from abroad. But the UAE already controls tens of thousands of hectares of Sudanese farmland and imports tens of millions of dollars of its crops. Others suggest that the UAE is after geopolitical influence. Sudan has a large coastline on the Red Sea. That makes it a strategic location for trade and security. But there's another explanation, a more compelling one. The UAE seems motivated by ideology. Its president, Mohammed bin Zayed, is fiercely hostile to political Islam. In Sudan, Islamist officers wield power within the army. That seems to be why the UAE is backing a militia that's fighting against the army. It follows a pattern of the Emirates trying to carve out its own sphere of influence, distinct from regional rivals like Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Turkey. A few years ago, it supported a warlord who unsuccessfully tried to overthrow the government of Libya. It supports secessionists in Yemen. It also backs the leaders of Puntland and Somaliland, two breakaway republics in Somalia. And the UAE is skeptical of the Islamist-led government that has emerged in Syria. But nowhere has its foreign policy had more devastating consequences than in Sudan, where the government accused the UAE of complicity in genocide. The UAE's policy has managed to anger America, China, and Russia, no small feat in 2025. Even though the RSF has lost some ground, there are no signs that Emirati support for the militia is waning. That means its role fueling the world's worst humanitarian crisis looks likely to continue.
Free Sudan! Boycott diamonds and gold! Free Sudan! Boycott diamonds and gold! We most definitely cannot forget about the people of Sudan!
Thanks for watching Afro Think Tank. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And follow me on Substack and Patreon for more content. Remember, it's Pan-Africanism or nothing.